Have you ever looked at your lab results and wondered, what if something is going wrong inside my kidneys, and I just can't feel it yet? Because here's the frightening truth most people in America don't realize. You can lose more than half of your kidney function before you feel a single warning sign. No sharp pain, no dramatic symptom. Just silent damage happening day after day while blood pressure creeps up. Inflammation builds and the tiny filters inside your kidneys begin to fail one by one. I'm Dr. Mark Ellis, and after years of seeing patients who thought they were mostly fine until their creatinine suddenly spiked, I can tell you this kidney decline doesn't usually explode overnight. It progresses quietly, patiently, and often unnoticed until the situation becomes serious enough to change your life. And by then, the conversation shifts from prevention to management, from simple lifestyle choices to medications, restrictions, and in some cases, dialysis. But here's the part that should both concern you and give you hope at the same time. Long before things reach that stage, your body is sending subtle signals, and there are specific, simple actions you can take right now to support your kidneys before permanent damage sets in. In today's video, I'm going to show you exactly what most people overlook, why it matters more than you think, and how a few powerful everyday choices could make the difference between silent decline and long-term protection. Stay with me because what you're about to learn may completely change how you think about protecting your kidneys in your future. Let's start with something most people completely underestimate: blood flow. Because kidney damage rarely begins inside the filter itself. It begins in the vessels that feed it. Your kidneys are packed with millions of microscopic filtering units, and every single one depends on steady, flexible, low-pressure circulation. When those tiny blood vessels stiffen, narrow, or lose their ability to relax, filtration efficiency slowly declines. Not dramatically, not painfully, quietly. And that's where arugula becomes far more powerful than it looks. Arugula is naturally rich in dietary nitrates. Inside your body, those nitrates convert into nitric oxide, one of the most critical signaling molecules for vascular health. Nitric oxide tells blood vessels to relax and widen. When vessels relax, resistance drops. When resistance drops, blood pressure decreases. And when blood pressure decreases, the delicate glomeruli inside your kidneys experience less mechanical stress day after day. Think of it like maintaining a highway system. If the roads crack and narrow traffic builds, pressure rises and damage spreads. But if the roads remain open and elastic flow stays smooth, nitric oxide keeps those roads flexible. I once saw a 57-year-old patient with borderline high blood pressure who felt perfectly fine. His numbers weren't terrible, just slightly elevated for years. Over time, that constant mild pressure led to a steady rise in creatinine. No pain, no warning, just gradual decline. Research supported by the National Institutes of Health shows that nitrate-rich leafy greens can significantly improve endothelial function and reduce arterial stiffness. Two factors directly linked to long-term kidney preservation. This isn't hype, it's vascular biology. Arugula also contains vitamin K and antioxidant compounds like lutein, which support vessel integrity and reduce oxidative stress, another silent contributor to nephron loss. Now, a responsible note: arugula contains moderate potassium. For most people, that's beneficial for blood pressure balance. But if you have advanced chronic kidney disease, portion control matters. This is about strategic support, not overconsumption. Protecting your kidneys often starts with protecting the blood vessels that feed them. But understanding blood flow alone isn't enough, because even perfectly flowing blood can carry inflammatory compounds that slowly damage kidney tissue. And that brings us to the next leaf, which works in a completely different and often overlooked way. But knowing this alone isn't enough, because there's another factor that may be even more dangerous. Now, here's where most people miss the bigger picture. Even if your blood flow is strong and your vessels are flexible, your kidneys can still be under attack from something upstream: chronic inflammation and toxic byproducts generated in the gut and processed by the liver. And this is exactly where cabbage steps in, quietly but powerfully. Cabbage belongs to the cruciferous vegetable family, which means it contains natural compounds called glucosinolates. When you chop, chew, or lightly cook cabbage, these compounds convert into sulforaphane, a bioactive molecule that has been extensively studied for its anti-inflammatory and detox supporting effects. Sulforaphane doesn't cleanse your kidneys directly. Instead, it activates phase 2 detoxification enzymes in the liver, helping your body neutralize and process harmful substances more efficiently before they ever reach your kidneys. Why does that matter? Because your kidneys are downstream filters. If the bloodstream carries fewer inflammatory cytokines and fewer uremic toxins, the burden on those delicate nephrons decreases. Research supported by the National Institutes of Health has shown that sulforaphane can reduce inflammatory markers such as TNF-alpha and interleukin-6, both of which are linked to progressive kidney damage when chronically elevated. In simple terms, less inflammation equals less long-term scarring. I remember a patient in his early 60s with early-stage kidney decline and persistent low-grade inflammation. His medication remained unchanged, but we focused on increasing fiber and cruciferous vegetables while reducing processed foods. 6 months later, his inflammatory markers dropped significantly and his kidney numbers stabilized. No miracle, no overnight transformation, just metabolic pressure easing gradually. Cabbage also plays another critical role, the gut-kidney connection. An imbalanced microbiome can produce compounds like indoxyl sulfate that circulate in the bloodstream and stress kidney tissue. The fiber in cabbage feeds beneficial gut bacteria, helping reduce the production of these harmful byproducts. And unlike many darker greens, cabbage is relatively low in potassium, making it a safer option for many individuals monitoring their intake. The real strategy here isn't detox, it's reducing the load before the filter ever has to work harder. But understanding inflammation and liver support still isn't enough, because there's another silent pressure building inside the kidneys that most people ignore every single day. And just knowing this isn't enough, because there's another factor that may be even more dangerous. There's another force that damages kidneys quietly, steadily, and far more commonly than most people realize: pressure. Not emotional pressure, blood pressure. Because even if inflammation is reduced and circulation improves, sustained mechanical stress inside the glomeruli can slowly wear down the filtration barrier year after year. And this is where green leaf lettuce becomes far more important than it looks sitting on a grocery shelf. Green leaf lettuce is naturally low in sodium, and that detail alone matters more than most people think. Excess sodium pulls water into the bloodstream, increases volume, and raises blood pressure. Elevated pressure inside the kidney's microscopic filters creates something called glomerular hypertension, a condition where those delicate filtering membranes are forced to handle more force than they were designed for. Over time, that constant strain leads to thickening, scarring, and reduced efficiency. According to data from the CDC, high blood pressure remains one of the leading causes of kidney failure in the United States. Not dramatic spikes, just chronically elevated numbers over years. But green leaf lettuce does more than simply avoid sodium. It contains natural nitrates in smaller amounts, magnesium, that supports vascular relaxation, and antioxidants like vitamin C and beta-carotene that help neutralize oxidative stress. Magnesium in particular plays a quiet but powerful role in regulating vascular tone. When magnesium levels are adequate, blood vessels respond more flexibly. When they're low, vessels tend to constrict more easily. That subtle difference repeated daily influences long-term kidney workload. I once spoke with a 62-year-old woman whose blood pressure hovered just slightly above optimal for nearly a decade. She didn't feel sick, she didn't feel urgency, but over time her lab results told a different story. Small adjustments, reducing sodium, increasing leafy greens, stabilizing mineral intake, helped her numbers normalize without escalating medication. Again, no miracle, just reduced strain. Let me ask you something directly. Do you think you might be eating more salt than your body truly needs? If that sounds familiar, type yes in the comments. I read them, and awareness is the first shift toward control. Lowering pressure isn't dramatic, it's strategic. But even controlling blood pressure isn't the final piece, because there's one foundational element that determines whether waste stays diluted and manageable or becomes concentrated and dangerous. And knowing this alone isn't enough, because there's another factor that may be even more dangerous. And now we come to the most underestimated factor of all: hydration. Not extreme water challenges, not gallon-a-day trends, just consistent, intelligent fluid balance. Because even if blood vessels are flexible, inflammation is controlled, and blood pressure is stable, your kidneys still depend on one basic condition to function properly: adequate dilution. And this is where romaine lettuce quietly becomes powerful. Romaine is about 95% water. That may sound simple, but physiologically it matters. When the body is even mildly dehydrated, waste products in the bloodstream become more concentrated. The kidneys are then forced to filter thicker, denser fluid. Over time, that increases workload and raises the risk of crystal formation, the starting point for many kidney stones. The National Kidney Foundation emphasizes that proper hydration helps dilute sodium and metabolic waste-reducing strain on filtration structures. But romaine does more than just provide water. It contains folate, which helps regulate homocysteine levels, a compound linked to vascular damage when elevated. It also provides vitamin K1, supporting blood vessel integrity, and beta-carotene, which the body converts into vitamin A, essential for maintaining healthy epithelial cells lining the kidney tubules. Those tubules reabsorb nutrients and maintain electrolyte balance. If they weaken, efficiency drops. I once had a patient in his late 50s who insisted he drank plenty of water, yet most of his fluids came in large amounts late in the evening. During the day, he ran mildly dehydrated. His urine was consistently concentrated. Once we adjusted his hydration pattern, smaller, consistent intake, and more water-rich foods, his markers stabilized. Again, not dramatic, but protective. Chronic low-grade dehydration is common in adults over 50. Not severe enough to cause alarm, just enough to create long-term strain. And here's the critical truth: kidney decline is rarely about one catastrophic event. It's about cumulative stress. So as we come to the end of this conversation, I want you to take a deep breath and remember something important. Kidney health is not about perfection. It's not about extreme diets or overnight transformations. It's about small, steady choices that protect your body quietly over time. If you've made it this far, that already tells me one thing: you care, and that matters more than you think. Start simple. Add these greens thoughtfully into your weekly routine. Pay attention to your blood pressure. Stay consistently hydrated instead of fluctuating between too little and too much. If you have existing kidney concerns, speak with your doctor about potassium limits and personalize your approach. Protection is not about fear, it's about awareness and consistency. If this video helped you see your kidneys in a new way, I encourage you to save this video so you can come back to it later. Share it with someone you care about who might need this information, and make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because I regularly share science-based practical medical insights designed to help you protect your kidney function and stay ahead of silent health risks before they become serious problems. Your kidneys work for you every minute of every day without asking for attention. With the right knowledge and small daily adjustments, you can support them for decades to come. It's never about doing everything at once. It's about doing the right things consistently. And the good news is, this starting today, you're no longer in the dark.